You're fresh out of a breakup, fresh out of a relationship. Maybe it was a short relationship, maybe it was something longer. The emotional downfall, that pain is like incomparable to anything else. It is so hard, it is so painful, it hits us. And the first thing that comes to mind that makes it worse is that, am I going to feel like this forever? Am I doomed? Is this the pattern that my life is going to continue to follow constantly? But that pain, that fills us in here, that emotional pain, it drives the majority of people to dating immediately because you feel like, oh, I need to feel worthy, I need to feel loved, I need to feel desired. And the quickest, easiest way for a lot of people to do that is to jump back into dating, jump back into getting that attention and validation from other people. But it's an amateur mistake because um, regardless of how difficult it is, how painful it is, what you're going through, this is only going to make things worse. Jumping into dating again. It is emotional gambling. It is an emotional lottery. You are basically building your self-esteem back up based on people's attention, based on taking power from other people, based on the opinions of others, rather than building it on a more solid foundation that is more secure, that no one can touch. You see, when we fall down emotionally, when we are either dumped or usually rejection in a breakup makes this much more difficult. We feel totally worthless. We feel like uh, basically a loser. You feel like all your self-esteem, all that confidence you had, all that self-worth you had just evaporates and disintegrates completely. And in a desperate attempt to regain that self-esteem and that confidence and that self-worth, which should be coming from yourself. It should be your own self-image. It should be that you know yourself. It should be that you know how great you are. You know how talented you are. You know how lovable you are. You know how worthy you are. You know how amazing you are. But when all that goes out the window, 9 people out of 10 are going to rush back onto dating apps, back onto dating, so that they can get that validation, that sense of how special and worthy they are from other people in the form of, wow, you're so hot, or hey, how you doing? And God, you're so attractive. And it's just attention, right? Attention is power. Remember that. So we'll feed off that attention, but like I said, it's an emotional lottery. You're gambling with your heart because when your self-esteem and self-confidence and your self-image is being constructed by the opinions of others, then it is completely dependent on others as well to either rise or crumble and fall. It will always be like a house of cards. It will perhaps look and feel big and amazing, but just a little gust of wind and the whole thing will collapse. And as I said, it's just amateur hour if you're going to go about doing that. It shows a tremendous amount of inexperience and not having really truly learned about how to take care of your emotional needs, how to take care of your mental well-being. When you instead are able to go the other route, which requires more patience, more strength, more dedication, more maturity, basically, more professionalism, uh, basically being more of a cool person, which is difficult to do, as we can see nowadays. People are opting for the quicker fix, regardless of how it affects themselves, which, to be honest with you, that's fine if you don't care about yourself, but at the very least, you should care about uh, how you affect the people around you. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. They're just so selfish and will go out selfishly trying to grasp for any source of good feeling, primarily going to be like getting attention from other people, that validation from others. The funny irony of it all is there's a lot of people out there who glorify um, their self hatred and their self pity and their self misery, and they turn it into this cool, I'm this struggling, suffering artist slash, whatever it is that glorifies this image and gives them, a sense of feeling cool or whatever. And the funny thing is, when they are desperately grasping for, to revitalize, re-energize, recharge their power by getting it from other people's attention, they are, the irony is that they're making themselves feel good. And if you really truly are this suffering artist, glorifying your misery and how hard life is for you and all of this, well, then don't give yourself that quick fix either, right? So basically, it's amateur hour. There's a lot of selfishness. There's a lot of pain involved. There's a lot of thoughtlessness going on. The reason why I call it amateur hour is because we all go through this, and it's going to be, let's call them the white belts, the beginners that are just going to mindlessly, throw themselves back into dating fresh out of a breakup. And not aware of the mess that they're not only creating within themselves, but the mess that they're creating for other people. And that's just not cool, because at the end of the day, I think respect is the most important thing. I would argue respecting each other more important than loving each other. Because love is difficult. It's difficult to love. And if you're able to love, then God bless you. That's amazing, but it's hard. And most of us, if we're being real, are going to have difficulty to love each other. But respecting each other, this is something that a lot of, our current president here in the United States just doesn't understand either. The simple language of respect, respecting, staying in your lane, respecting people despite our huge differences. Respect is much more important than love, I would argue. And you'll see respect like in the most difficult, brutal places, in cities where there's crime, like rough neighborhoods. You will see that a lot of people have learned and evolved to respect each other, to stay in their own lanes. It's not about love. It's not about anything else. It's just be respectful. So that, in my opinion, that behavior demonstrates a serious lack of understanding, respect, and while I can understand it, I've been there, we've all been there, when you take that devastating emotional hit, which is just a horrible thing. But always important to remember that it doesn't last. The first days are going to be very difficult. And what compounds that difficulty is the idea, the thought, the belief that will immediately come into our head. it's a fear-based belief that this is going to last forever. I'm going to feel like this forever now. And it's just not true, because after a couple of days, it fades away. And as long as you're doing the right things, i.e. not going back to snooping on your ex and chasing them, stalking them, all that kind of stuff, you'll be able to really move forward and let go. At the end of the day, when we build our fortress based on the opinions of others and like getting that validation from dating and the attention from people that we might get, it's sort of like it's this this ladder, this mountain that we climb, and we for a lot of spiritual people will look at this, people who are on that, practicing the spiritual path, meditating, prayer, going into that deep meditation where you can observe all of this as nonsense. This is all BS. This is all Maya, right? It's the silly games that humans play to keep themselves occupied and busy, the drama that we create, like little silly monkeys running around creating problems for each other. So those of you who are more on that spiritual path, who are meditating and are training your self-awareness, or training your skills and strengths of observation, your powers of observation, to be able to observe not only yourself and these games and how people will constantly be trying to pull you into their little games and their little drama. Those of you will find all of this, of course, nonsensical and childish, amateur BS, right? But it is human stuff. We have to deal with all of this. And it is the world that we live in. There is this ladder, this game, this mountain, and a lot of people start playing this game, like getting the hotter, the better, the more desirable people when dating. And then when we take that emotional hit, when we're dumped or rejected, or even when we're the ones that break up with the people we're with, it's still emotionally difficult and painful, and our mind does still get flooded with doubt and all kinds of difficult thoughts and beliefs. But when we do take that tumble, it's like we start over again. We have to build ourselves up. And a lot of people, they will build themselves up by stepping all over people. So let's say, for the sake of just being able to explain this, the more desirable, let's say attractive, whatever it is that makes someone more desirable to you, the hotter girls, the hotter guys, that's pretty much usually what it is, right? It's all about hotness, physical attraction, money, all of those types of things. Status, that's a big one, right? How many people, how influential you are. So how influential, how attractive physically, the status you have. There's a lot that goes into it, how cool you are, So whatever that ladder is, and let's say you start off with people that you might not really be that into, but a lot of people, they'll play this game and they'll kind of start from scratch again, and they'll date the people that are like, let's say, low on that ladder, and then they'll leave them and climb up and climb up and climb up until they're with, and it's just a game, and it will just continually just like, you'll climb up and fall and climb up and fall. It's gambling, basically, right? It's like completely identical to gambling. It's like you start off with nothing and you start to make small bets, and then you use the money that you make to make bigger bets, and it's just this game. So those of people who are a lot wiser, who are on a much healthier, better spiritual path, or just life path in general, will sidestep all of that nonsense, and instead, rather than building their fortress based on stealing power from other people, and it's temporary power, drinking the attention like energy vampires do, like taking attention from here and from here and here to build this fake house of cards. Instead, you'll be building your fortress on things that you're interested in, your passions, your love, whether it's your art, your music, building a house, building a patio, building whatever, building a garden, those types of things. Like, who's going to come and take that away? They're always going to be there. They're always going to be producing for you. Okay, it's different types of investing here. You're investing on the first way, like in short term, it's kind of like trading with stocks, it's extremely high risk. And usually it's like gambling, basically. Or the other way of doing it is to, it takes longer at the beginning, but once it starts to get going, it's much more long lasting, it's much more sustainable and fruitful, and much more secure. No one's going to be able to touch it. So no one's going to come along and take away those sources of power. They still can. And this is when we find ourselves like losing all of ourselves when we get into a relationship. We put aside our sports that, let's say our jiu-jitsu, our kickboxing. Let's say we put away our dancing classes, our climbing, our rock climbing, our painting, our music. We put aside our hikes in nature. We put aside our cooking. We put aside our building projects, our business. So many people do this, right? They get in a relationship, and it's usually a toxic relationship that will do this. It will be a guy or a woman who will want to take your power, will want to take your attention away from those amazing things that you have built, that are giving you, that are feeding you power. And those things aren't coming from insecure and stable sources, i.e. people's attention. No, they're coming from things that you have built, a business that you have built and set up, and now this business is functioning and giving you not only monetary rewards, not only occupying you, but it's also giving you power, this self-worth. It's an accomplishment. There is so much power in building things like that. It's why a lot of artists and musicians and business people, they are among some of the most powerful people on earth, and so many of us, we gravitate towards them because they have created an energy source, an energy driver, an energy generator that is come out of their creativity and hard work. So you're going to get a lot of people that aren't putting in that creativity and hard work, and they're going to be drawn to the people that have created, and they're going to try to take and steal and drink, just like a bat, or a leech will attach itself to something and it will slowly just feed off of that. So be very careful when you do encounter people like that, especially in the dating world. It's infested with people like that because it's infested with a lot of people who are fresh out of breakups and are grasping desperately to rebuild their self-image, their self-worth, their self-esteem, which they ought to be doing themselves, right? Through the hard work and dedication. But sadly, that's not the world that we live in, right? So be careful, stay safe out there. I hope this video helps a little bit. And yeah, I just made some notes, so I want to make sure I covered everything that I got over here. Yeah, I have covered everything. So don't be an amateur, like rise above, learn from everything that you are experiencing on this earth, all right? Let's not keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. It's kind of silly, right? So let's do better. Let's rise together. It all starts within ourselves. Let's create that strength. And when we do create that power, be very picky on who you allow that to be shared with. All right, everybody, sending everybody out there a lot of love and all the best, and all the best for all of us for this world. We're approaching like a very important crossroads, and I am very hopeful that no matter what, goodness, love will always smash through evil and fear, which stem out of weakness. Forgot to mention also that, when I make these videos, I have to also be very mindful of that as well, where I'm getting my sense of power and self-worth, because it's very easy to get lost in the likes and the views and making videos and sharing them and receiving love and attention and interest back. So it's just an ongoing life process of checking in with yourself, making sure that you're not overly dependent on those things. Little bit is okay, keeping it in moderation, that's the key, right? So keeping things in balance and moderation. And it's just almost nearly impossible to find that moderation and balance and to forever, keep that like a permanent thing. It's going to be impossible. It's going to be like this, you know. You're going to be waving in between, and trying to stay on that line. But this is the trajectory you want. It's as if a rocket going into outer space. This is totally fine. Obviously, this is the best. But what you don't want is this, because this is extremely destructive and volatile, and your rocket ship can just explode and disintegrate, and it can also create destruction to everybody around us as well. And that's not what we want. We want harmony, we want peace, and we all want to have fun. We want to enjoy this existence. That's the whole point of it.